Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, am I correct? And what we are doing is discussing how those viaducts are going to come in. Now, the second thing that's going on with these viaducts are that they are in a state of disrepair, and that there needs to be some changes and some upgrades made to our viaducts so that they continually function. And now I'm going to say this, and then I'll get off my soapbox because I'm going to go and sit down and let the professionals talk. I used to drive this way every day when I worked for AT&T. So when I lived in South Grand Prairie, those viaducts, Zane, Houston Street, were my go-to. I won't tell you the other ones because we're going to have to use them later, and I want to be the only one using them. So, but then we got the changes at the freeway that made things run smoother and easier to get in and out. Well, TxDOT has altered the overpass when it comes down to I-30 between 35 and 45. So we've lost the ability to go in and out from the southern sector that way. So what I was doing was, and what I do still today, is I manage the traffic. When I get to Illinois, and depending upon how traffic is backing up, Illinois, then Marsalis 12, 8th Street, Colorado. It depends on when I'm getting off the freeway and going my Zane and Houston Street, my Zane and Jefferson Viaduct routes. Well, there's some changes that are going to be made, and I'm going to introduce the people who are going to discuss those changes and who are going to discuss what is going to happen with those changes. When we have Rosa Fleming, who is the director of the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center. We have the assistant director, Mr. Williams, Richard Williams, who is also there. We have Mr. Jose, who is also in the Convention Center. Oral, your transportation. And we have Ms. Sophia from Transportation, and here's my go-to guy when it comes down to transportation, the Director of Transportation, Dr. Gus Pincardi. So I'm not answering these questions, and I'm not taking notes. I'm gonna let the professionals and those that know the best answer the questions for all of us. This is probably after the rollout in the Transportation Committee last week. This is probably the first community meeting that's being had for them to be able to help share with us what's going on and how it's going to impact us, and or if we have suggestions, what suggestions we can give them so we can still get in and out of downtown equitably. With that being said, am I going to give it to you, Ms. Rosa, or am I going to give it to Ms. Dr. Pincardi? Okay, Dr. Pincardi, you're the first one. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Gus Pincardi. I'm the Director of the Department of Transportation and Public Works. So obviously the agenda has a few items, including Jefferson, and then a few Council District 8 specific items. So we'll cover basically the first item. So what we're going to be doing is presenting what was presented to the Transportation Committee on May 19th, and in brief, and go over that presentation and what the discussion pretty much, to summarize part of the discussion basically that took place. So In principle, as you all know, we do have a convention center that is being reconstructed. And the convention center, as you can see, basically has to be reoriented and has to come over on this side of Jefferson into this area here, which is in between the Jefferson and Houston Byway. So in the current condition, you've got 3 lanes going into downtown and a shared bike lane on Jefferson. And then coming out, you have 2 lanes on Houston and a streetcar as well as a pedestrian path or sidewalk on Houston. So this is in the elevation view, typical section. It's back.
Old connector.
It's back. Okay. So that's what we're showing and talking about here in the existing condition. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, the convention center is being reconstructed, and because of the fact that it is being reoriented and the building had to migrate to the side, then a small section of Jefferson will have to be removed as part of the project in order to accommodate the new convention center. So during the construction phase, no matter what happens, basically this piece has to be done, at least to ensure that the roadway, or to ensure the safety of the traveling public. Even if we're able to keep the roadway in place, we cannot keep it open because of the fact that there will be a lot of activities, a lot of construction activities in that area. So what the current plan is to come in and maintain capacity on Jefferson and then start reducing the lanes and get to 1 lane by the time you get to the, what we call the south connector, which is basically a connector that connects the 2 bridges on this side. So you make the turn and go north, and then convert this piece of Houston into 2-way during the construction activities, basically, again, so that you know, we don't have anybody going into the construction zone while we're doing all that work. And then south of the connector, the condition on Houston remains as is right now. Okay, so this is basically the typical section of what it's going to look like as you get closer to the intersection of Young, and then before you get to Young. So before you get to Young, it's a 1 lane in each direction, and then you have the streetcar and the pedestrian, and then you get to the intersection. You'll have the dedicated right turn lane at the intersection. Okay. So, what we showed also during the presentation to the committee is that at the conclusion of the construction of the convention center, the plan is to have a connector, a new connector or down ramp that connects down to Hotel Street, so that basically this adds more options for those who are coming from the Bishop Arts area and South Dallas as you're going into downtown. So you get to the same location, which is the South Connector. You have the option of going down into Hotel or go across and then go down to downtown on Houston. So this is the, and then this is the option that was presented for the ultimate condition, which is basically in the future, whereby Jefferson is connected directly to Houston through a new bridge that crosses the Union Pacific, and by doing so, will allow for 1 lane going down and then 2 lanes coming up to allow circulation around the garage and have the direct connection through Houston and/or through the down ramp into the town. So pretty much, this is what was presented to the committee with, obviously the presentation is available online. If you go on the May 19th special called Transportation Committee meeting, and you will have the full presentation, but this is in high level basically of what was presented and where things stand at the moment. So, with that, Rosa and I am happy to take any questions that you have.
Is this sort of a temporary arrangement until the convention center is fully built? And will there be, like, I guess once the total construction project is fully built out, will it go back to normal without the different connectors in
So,
place?
as mentioned in the Transportation Committee meeting, that we will be going back and reevaluating some of the options for the end of construction and then the longer term. In the meantime, the interim condition for the construction timeframe will happen regardless.
So at what point is there any intention to relate those lanes again after the project is finished? Are you going to be narrowing it down?
As I mentioned, this was presented to the committee, and there were some recommendations from the committee, and we committed that we're going to go back and revisit the options that have been presented.
We want to ask because, blocks on the freeway, a lot of people jump over and go through downtown. And buses and everything feed into downtown and to Oak Cliff, especially on the west side. So, I'm trying to understand how you're going to accommodate that. Or is there still a plan to keep that open, so they still have free reign going in and out of downtown?
Well, again, during the interim condition, we're keeping one lane access into downtown through the, if you want to go back to the first one. No, the next one. That's the first one? Next, right there. Okay, so during the interim condition, when the building is under construction, there will be there's a crossover over here. So you come in, you go over the crossover, and Houston will be converted into two-way operation to allow for the direct connection in the interim condition.
So right now, Houston Street is a one-way, correct?
Correct.
Going north,
Going south.
going south. So
Two lanes
right now,
going south.
it's two lanes going south. So when they are in the midst of managing to do what's the construction for K. Bailey Hutchins, Houston will be one
Only
way.
a portion of it, from the south connector down to Young, it will be one lane in each direction.
So it still will be two lanes, but it'll be one lane going and one lane coming. Right now, it's two lanes going south out of downtown into the south. And while we're K. Bailey Hutchins is under construction and redesign, it'll be a lane going in each direction. And that will be all day? That will be all day,
It'll be
correct?
for the duration
Okay.
of the construction.
And Houston Street, that's Houston Street. What about the Jefferson Viaduct? Explain to them what.
So Jefferson will stay northbound until you get to the crossover. But before you get to crossover, because it is three lanes going north, so we have to start moving everybody into the second lane and then move them into one lane by the time you get to that location at the south connector to make the left turn and then go north. So,
Hi. I'm a little confused. You mentioned that you're gonna reevaluate once the convention center is finished about whether or not you're gonna return the viaducts like they were prior to doing this. I don't understand why there can't be a commitment that you're going to return it like they are now. I mean,
So,
what's?
I can't hear you. So the question is,
Thank you.
Basically, the interpretation of what I said was, we're gonna reevaluate when the convention center is over. And the intent of my statement, and the statement was, as requested by the Transportation Committee, we will need to go back and reevaluate immediately. So we're working.
No, but I don't understand why. I mean, what's gonna change?
So
I
based-
understand in the interim about not subjecting anybody to the construction. But I don't understand, and I think this is a big part of the problem. It's the unknown, and, you know, nobody likes change. It's the unknown, and I don't understand what needs to be evaluated. What's gonna change?
Well, let me help with that.
Okay.
I am part of the Transportation Committee. And I understand, once I left, there was a motion that was made to go back and make changes again to the K. Bailey Hutchins Convention Center height. Am I right, Rosa? And if they make changes to the height, then it would make changes as to the access via the viaducts. And that is up for discussion. And once it has been discussed and then decided at committee, and committee would then send it back to council for a decision. But here's the thing, you guys. One of the things I say on a regular basis, you guys don't come to City Hall. You do. Well, District 8 doesn't necessarily come to City Hall. And so the only way that the staff gets to hear our voice is when I invite them here for us to speak to them. Now, if you don't, and if you want it to stay the way it is planned, or if you want it and you want the convention center to stay at its proposed state that is in the process of being designed, you need to let us. Well, first of all, you need to let me know, and then you need to let them know. Because they can only speak through your voice. Well, I should say the council members can only speak through your voice. And now I will ask someone from Convention Center to come up and explain to you guys, what does that proposed change mean? We already have a design that has been approved by council.
Correct. So this has been a long, hi everybody, I'm Rolene, I'm the director for Convention and Event Services. Thanks for coming out and spending a little bit of your evening with us to let us explain this to you. So the Convention Center process started really in 2019, so it's been a long time of planning to get to this point. And so I know there's a lot of information sometimes that's misinterpreted in the media, and so some people have said there's no design. There is a design. It was approved back in 2020. In 2022, we had to change it in late calendar year 2023, starting in October 2023. We had some interactions with TxDOT. They're doing the Interstate 30 project, which is right next to the convention center. And they asked us to move the center a little bit so they could have places to lay down their equipment and to be able to build, flyover over Union Pacific Railroad, right? And so that's what shifted us a little bit to have to move, and I think you all saw in the paper and in the news where we had to buy a portion of WFA's parking lot and the back part of the Dallas Morning News building to shift over. And regardless of that, we were always going to butt up against the viaduct, the Jefferson Viaduct, right? And so for safety, we were going to have some interruption and take out a section of Jefferson in order not to have any of the construction materials falling on people's cars, right? And so as we moved over the convention center, we presented that to council in 2024. And they were fine with the design, they didn't like the cost. And so asked us to reduce it by $500 million. So we brought it back later in 2024 and again in January 2025. And we did bring it down. We brought it down from $3.5 billion down to $3.080 billion. And as a reminder, zero taxpayer dollars in this. This is paid for by hotel occupancy tax, which we're partially responsible for filling up by filling the convention center and other entertainment venues in the city, and through something called a project financing zone, which is where there's a 3-mile circle drawn around the convention center, and we take part of what hotels collect for hotel occupancy tax and some of their other hotel taxes. That's what's paying for the project, and then money that we earn ourselves. Where, I think in budget, they tell you all about enterprise departments versus general fund. So we're an enterprise department, so we don't use property tax or sales tax, we don't take any of that. We basically, I joke with my staff, we sing for our supper, whatever we earn, that's what we can spend. And so that's what was being used for the center. And when we went to council and they said reduce it, we had to reduce the height, right? So when you reduce the height of the building, yes, we shaved off $500 million, and I think some of you may have been there. We brought a design, and we brought a model with us, and it showed, you know, what was gonna be blocked off where, and all of that, and talked about, you know, the construction of it. And part of that was now we were over on the other side of the Jefferson Viaduct. So now you take it out and the building was too short, it had to be a certain clearance for certain kinds of vehicles to be able to go under it. So we created a mobility hub, and you can go under the mobility hub and under the building, but if you have 100,000 cheerleaders here, which happens twice a year, or you have 40,000 volleyball players here, which happens 3 times a year, it's gonna be difficult for you to wanna sit in that traffic. And so, Gus and Carly and his department, we hired some consultants through them. We hired HNTV, and they are working with us along with our designers on the convention center to look at how do we clear up some of that traffic that's gonna bottleneck there, right? And so that was the off-ramp that you saw onto Hotel Street. And I know that Councilman Blair doesn't want me to say the word Hotel Street because it's my back road and hers. But, you know, it's unused street right now. It's a street that.
Only she and I were using.
Just that. And so it empties out onto Reunion Boulevard. And so it's a way to take some of the capacity off of the viaducts was to put it down on Hotel Street and let you fall out onto Reunion Boulevard, which turns into Young, right? And so it takes off kind of a block. We go, it adds, I forgot it, we don't have the slide up there, but probably 2 minutes to your travel time. And then the alternative that we showed you, I think to your point, your question about what happens in the future, was that block that goes over UP, and I want somebody who's transportation on that part, the one that goes over Union Pacific Railroad, and that future map that he had up there that you can't see right now. But it allowed you to bypass it for Jefferson to not have to go back in that same condition, but still got you 3 lanes each way, right? Is that the outcome?
Cool.
In total, you end up with 6 lanes versus 5. So that's kind of the outcome. So you end up with more. But I think that when the committee heard us, and you were there, so when the committee heard us, they wanted us to go back and look at a comparative, which we did provide, but we provided it just to the council people, right? Was a comparative of that 500 million to what it would cost to build the highway. And we did provide that in paper form to council, but they want us to prove up a little bit, go do a little bit more study and figure out, you know, which one is the better option. Raise the building back and spend another $500 million or so, or put the roadway back. But more to the point, I think what, and Deb and Gus will probably agree with me, we did a lot of meetings for the convention center, and so I think we owe it to all the communities to do the same amount of outreach about the roadway. And so I think that's where we are right now, right, is doing the outreach so that people can understand what the options are. People want to be heard, we understand that. People want to be able to draw on maps and see if there's a different way that we can go that the consultants or us haven't thought about. So that's kind of.
Can you also tell them the temporary changes, how long they will exist before we have our permanent change as to what it's going to look like?
So right now, if the convention center's not delayed, right, then it would end year-end 2029, maybe first month of 2030, right? That's when the convention center would open for business and be able to take in customers. So that would be the temporary condition, and then I think to dovetail with Gus or Deb and others to be able to talk about the future. Yes, ma'am.
I was at the meeting last Tuesday, and my understanding was that a motion was proposed and passed to submit to the city council that the plans for the convention center be revised to what they were originally, which means raising it up. And so from that, I thought, oh, good, the council understands we don't want to lose our access. We don't want to lose any access to downtown. And yet from what I'm hearing tonight, it sounds like y'all are back at the drawing board and we're still not going to be able to get that section of Jefferson open again.
I was
What's
telling
going
you
on?
what she asked me to say, and thank you for the comments about the convention center and how we got to here. So that's what I was explaining, not making a decision for you or for council. We can't do that, right? So I think what the comparative is, you know, there's and I said this at the meeting, and if you pull it up, you can hear it. There's a domino effect to delay of the convention center, right? It's jobs that we're putting on hold. It's hotel occupancy tax that doesn't just pay our bills at the center. We also pay a big chunk of arts and culture's budget, right? And so all those things that we wouldn't be able to do, the longer it takes to bring the convention center back up. And so we'd love to be able to find a happy medium, right? Where everybody gets some of what they want, you know, in order to be able to be satisfied. And so that's why we want to do the engagement that Deb committed to at the meeting, Deborah Stokey, Assistant City Manager, so that we can go out and hear everybody and then come back to the table. But there's not an immediacy. We don't have a council date yet to go back. Instead, we need to go and do some outreach and talk to the community. So that was part of it. I mean, if you heard Council Member Blackman, she was very clear on, hey, you know, we need you to go out and talk to the community. And so that's the step we're at right now.
And that's why this is since that meeting last week, this is the first engagement meeting that the convention center and transportation is being able to offer anybody who wanted to hear it, but specifically to those of us that live in the South that this is going to completely impact. Okay? One of the things that I know, I tell District 8, we operate on truth, transparency, and collaboration. And this is my way of giving you all three of those. It's truth, we're being transparent, and you get to be able to feed into the final decisions through collaboration. Okay? So help yourself to all questions, and whatever you don't understand, they are really here to help us understand.
Thank you for providing your insights. I guess my question is really around the communication of, what the process. This is one of the first meetings that will be taking place, but outside of community meetings, how is this information going to be shared out? And then also, like, what is the rollout plan for communicating this to the larger public? So that when people are ready to start making that commute, they're aware of what that's gonna look like. And just from a, like, I live in D8, I go to downtown all the time. This is my go-to. I go through Jefferson to go through downtown. Otherwise, I'll add another 45 minutes to my commute every morning. So this will be impacting me. I know it impacts a lot of other folks, especially during the regular school year. When August comes around, the roads get hectic. So, and then also with the World Cup coming, I know that the roads are even going to be more congested. So I know that this will be sort of a hot topic. I think my concern is like people not being aware, and then that causing a public safety concern because of signage. I even get like turned around, and I've been taking that like road all the time, but because of the streetcar, it kind of throws people off. So my question is like, what is happening with regards to signage, and then also the communication plan for communicating this to the larger public?
Sure, I'm gonna ask you to share with us.
Okay, so we're working with, so overall, we work with TxDOT. As you know, TxDOT has the big project, reconstruction of the canyon, I-30. And then we've got obviously now the FIFA, as you mentioned. So we're working closely with TxDOT, the North Central Council of Governments, and certainly our communications department to try to have those outreach, if you will, to the public on potentially rerouting and accessibility. As a matter of fact, we should have on our website, if I'm not mistaken, or at least I know that we've completed that, and it should be advertised to show and encourage folks who are going to downtown to avoid trying to exit off of I-30. Going through downtown, to downtown from I-30 is going to be a bit difficult, especially during the FIFA timeline. So we posted, or at least the brochure, I'm not sure, has it been posted yet?
We have some flyers that we're developing
Okay.
to help, help the traveling public understand all of the different connectivity points. And I know we've got a draft that we're working on, but as Gus mentioned, we certainly understand how important it is to communicate to the traveling public so they understand how to get from where they are, where they want to go safely. And of course, we utilize our council members extensively. They have newsletters that they put out on a regular basis. And so we have a working draft soon in getting it to our council members.
And as soon as she gives it to me, every Friday we get a newsletter. It will be in that newsletter. If she gives it to me Friday morning, it's going to be in the newsletter Friday afternoon. Okay, so as soon as we get it in District 8, it will be sent out. But I do have a question for staff. More so Gus. We specifically talk about the city of Dallas. But being the most southern part of the city of Dallas, I have every municipality that comes through me. So I have DeSoto, Duncanville, Grand Prairie will come 20 to either 408 or 67. So how are we communicating with them? Because the traffic study that was provided only went a little bit south of downtown, but we get impacted all the way to 20. And if we don't, if we don't know how these changes are going to impact just the city, you're not really getting a full breadth of the impacts. And when people are going to be coming off of I-35 and hitting the service street, because like I said, based on when traffic is bottlenecking, depends on when I get off. I can get off on Illinois, make a left, get on Zane, go Zane to Jefferson, and up to the viaduct, and I'm there. Or I can, if it's south of that, before I even get home, I can hit surface streets. So I'm saying, if I'm doing that, DeSoto's doing that, Cedar Hill's doing that, Red Oak is doing that. And we need to make sure that when we communicate, we also include other cities, that this is what's going on and this is how it's going to impact. Because it has a trickle down effect. When people come from places and they hit our streets, then it also does, it impacts DPD, it impacts a whole lot of stuff. So how are we going to share this knowledge and these timelines with the municipalities that are south of us?
Great question. As I noted earlier, is that we're working closely with the North Central Council of Governments, and they have also on their website is the general regional movement that would provide guidance, if you will, on the lane closures and the areas to avoid. So this is something that we will have also when we activate this one. We'll have link also to the regional website.
So that's a
will have
regional, the RTC.
through RTC, yes. So they have that, and it addresses the very same question that you mentioned about the regional impact and the areas outside the venues, whether it be in downtown or Fair Park or Dallas City.
I haven't seen, I'm part of RTC as well. I have not seen that on the RTC agenda yet. Do we know when RTC will be addressing that?
So the RTC is building it now, and we're trying to mirror theirs on the FIFA link that's gonna be on the City of Dallas site. It'll be mirrored on the DallasCCMasterplan.com site and on the city's overall site, and sent out to our partners so that you can get it in multiple places. And then as we move to construction for different things, we'll replace those FIFA ones after FIFA with the long-term changes that are gonna happen during the construction of I-30. So that, because some of those that you talked about, the FIFA closures, they clear up the end of July, right? And so those are open. So all of that will have to change to show you now what's the full breadth of what's open.
I have a question. As transportation, Cadiz and Riverfront has been jacked up one lane each way for 4 years now. Is there any feedback? That was my way of getting downtown. The exit 35, we're right up to Cadiz to Lamar, down there. Can't do that no more. I mean, you can, but you're gonna sit in there 45 minutes. Is there any way, is that under state, who's doing the project? I mean, it's been like that for 4 years, though.
So
If this gonna be for 4 years.
So the CADIS project is a Dallas Water Utility project, and that had some challenges with the, I think the sewer line main in that area, and that delayed them a little bit, but they're trying to finish up that project. And on the section of Riverfront from Cadiz to Corinth, also it's a Dallas Water
Right.
Utility project. It's not a transportation project, so they've had their challenges too. And from Cadiz towards the Dallas County Courthouse, that is a joint City of Dallas, Dallas County project that Dallas County is leading to reconstruct that roadway, and they just started.
I just want to add, when you have questions about these projects, you communicate with your council member, and we're always happy to send out information about the timing of projects, so you have that, and you have that awareness. And so, we'll certainly make sure that Councilmember Blair is aware of the timing of those.
I understand. I mean,
facilities and-
believe it or not, when it started, Casey was particularly free. In other words, you done changed county. It's been 2 executives since then.
I I understand, and to Dr. Carly's point, sometimes our transportation projects are not just about the roadways, they're about the underlying utilities that we also have to take care of. Okay? So, thank you for your question.
Hi, I'm John Barr. I live in District 1, and that's next to Methodist Hospital. I live between Beckley and Zane, off of Colorado, and I also move my law firm over there. And I want you to know that this is the first meeting that any city councilman has called to ask the people, what about closing this Jefferson Street Bridge and keeping us from just going downtown? And you're lucky to have this councilwoman. She got on the agenda first, and nobody else had one. I came down here because I don't want to see the bridge closed. I think it will cause tremendous problems for the property values, and also these fat cats that are building this convention center or building the hotels next to it. Yeah, they'll benefit, but if they cut Oak Cliff off, how are we supposed to get downtown? And I know you folks have a lot of grocery stores out here, but not enough. We don't have any groceries. We just got a new one up on Fort Worth Avenue, so that's a misstatement if I was saying.
Well, we don't have any in District
But I
8.
mean, we all use this, we're all cliff dwellers, all of us.
Yes, we are.
Well, no matter where we are, we all go down that bridge. And to cut it off, to let these guys have a convention center where it's never planned to go across Jefferson. It was always planned Jefferson would be open until March the 23rd. It's the first time I heard that they were gonna do this. That's why I'm here. That's all. I just wanna know if you folks look at it the same way.
Yes, ma'am.
Comment heard and received.
Quick question as far as DART and the transportation from Oak Cliff going across the Jefferson Street Bridge. Didn't hear that anybody was here from DART to represent.
No, Dart's not here,
Okay.
and I have had conversation with, the director, was it, Mr. Bryant? He was unable to make it to today, but what I will do, you guys, what I will do is follow up, and even if it has to be a special meeting, I'll have DART come out here and discuss with us how are we going to not only get downtown when the bridge is being reconstructed, but how are we going to get from point A to point B afterwards. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation and having you guys join me when we have that conversation with DART, okay?
And the second part of my question is this going to impact Methodist Hospital at all? I'm listening to you only because if you're only having one viaduct going two ways, ambulances from downtown going into Colorado in that area, is that going to cause an issue? Any type of delay for medical services?
You're looking at me, and so I'm gonna start. Ask me again anyway. So I am not certain how a communication has happened with safety to say how does these changes impact your ability to get people from point A and point B, and if we're adding a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, how is that going to impact? I know if we're taking those minutes away, it's a great thing. But there is no one here from fire and safety, so it would be best to leave that answer at a later time. But what I would ask for you to do is, there's cards. Everybody got a card. Can you put that question on a card? And what I will do is I will submit that question to transportation to look into with fire and safety to ask that question and get back. Now, it won't be next week, okay? Give us some time, and Ms. Armstrong, I know you're gonna come get me, so give me some time and give us some time in order to find those answers out, okay? So there's two answers I need to come back with. When we gonna get Dart to talk to us, and what is it gonna mean when fire and safety have to go over the bridge when those bridge changes, okay?
I just want to add that, of course, access, for our safety vehicles is always a key part of our transportation design. It's really, it's a really important aspect of what we build into the design, that we bring forward. Right now, what we've shared with you are concepts that are gonna be moving forward into a design scenario. So we're working on how we can optimize those kinds of conditions and make sure we don't have that kind of concern. But thank you so much for the comment and question.
I'm sorry, but I have one more question. The flyover that Rosa talked about, I drove down 30 yesterday to look at it. The concrete is already going from the Pacific Railroad flyover. The concrete's installed. Does it intend to fly over more? The one track, the reason the convention center, I understand the reason the convention center's footprint changed in March was because you had to have a place to lay the concrete and lay the layout, construction work. And I drove by yesterday, that it's spanning I-30 there, down in the canyon this gentleman was talking about. The concrete's already in. Is there more work to be done besides that?
So the fire we're doing, I think they're looking, it would be great if we had the opportunity we could do a kind of a, bring text on it to explain it, but I think the area you're looking at is not the flyover. I'll have to get text on it.
Where is the flyover? Why did you change the convention center? Where is it located?
We're talking about
Yeah. we'll have to
direct
get
connector
it
that,
on that.
She said flyover, that I'm using the
Yeah,
same
maybe
term.
using the wrong term. Thank you
so
for
the
going
direct
over.
connector that we're,
No,
that-
you keep that one in.
okay.
I think that's, what point I'm making is that for us to get to town, the man said at the meeting last week, he was gonna add 10 minutes. That's 10 minutes, what he counted, 10 minutes for 1 mile, 1.2 miles. That bridge, changing it, is gonna add 10 minutes to get to downtown, which takes us about 2 minutes now. But the traffic going from 4 lanes or 3 lanes, 3 lanes to be accurate, 3 lanes, down to 1 lane until you get into downtown, going around the Union Arena, that's gonna take longer than 10 minutes.
Okay, so you're talking about the interim condition and.
No, I'm okay, look, you folks have, you can't wave a wand and build a convention center, but if you build it across the roadway, so Jefferson is terminated, and then we come back talking later, it's too late. We gotta talk now before you terminate.
So, again, I think you're talking about 2 things. Number one is the interim condition, which is basically during construction, right?
I don't have a problem with it.
Right, so
I don't have a
during
problem
construction-
giving up something to get a convention center done. I have a problem giving up our way downtown and the way back. 1 lane each way is what it bottlenecks into right there at Houston.
Okay.
It's okay. for
No,
me.
I hear you.
Okay.
So I'm just clarifying.
I'm sorry.
The interim condition, we said that we're gonna be, it's gonna happen regardless, right? Regardless what option that we're
Yeah, I
going to
know.
choose, because this is going to be an
It's
active
kind of the way
construction
it is
zone.
in life.
Right, just like everything else, anytime that you have construction, you have interim conditions,
Sure.
right? And the other piece, again, what the Transportation Committee requested from staff to do is to go back and reevaluate based on elevating that building back and bring it back to council. And that's where we are. So to your point is that we're going back and we're gonna comply with what the Transportation Committee recommendation is.
I'd like to piggyback on John's question. I mean, there's not a person in this room who hasn't been on a freeway or an interstate where there was a wreck or a broken down car or something, and people had to merge, you call it tapering, I believe. And talk about road rage. I mean, tapering is the mother of road rage. And I saw your handout at the meeting last week, and you said, well, here's what it takes now, and here's what it's gonna take then during rush hour. And I'm going, where did you get that number? I mean, it can take me, 45 minutes to get from Northwest Highway to, Blackburn or something, if there's a wreck there. I mean, it all has to narrow down to one. And so, I mean, where did you come up with that number? I mean, I heard comments about the assumptions that were being made and what was the basis of the assumptions, and that assumption of the time is, to me, just completely a pipe dream. Just my opinion, and my assumption. But I really think y'all need to rethink that and get on the freeway and find some wrecks and just try to taper over for a while and to see how much fun it is and how many people get mad and how many wrecks it causes.
Like you said, it's kind of, you got to see the hill and all that, like Laura said. And but one thing I have after that, not to interrupt you, Laura, when will this will go before the city council? Can you put out another memo so we can be there? When you're at that horseshoe, she need all of us to speak up, though.
Well, when it goes, okay, so here's the deal. So it's gonna go before committee again, correct?
No, the committee referred this to the full city council.
Okay, so do we have a date that we're looking at for city council?
We're still, trying to, get, that onto the agenda. I think it's, there's only a couple meetings in June, so we're trying to get that done as quickly as possible. So it's gonna go to the full city council to look at raising the convention center. That's the item.
So okay, so there's two ways you can find out. When you look at and actually I have my book for tomorrow, so let me show you. Our agendas, and this is the agenda for tomorrow. The agenda is broken down into sections. And you can look at each, you can go online and look at each, whether it's a briefing agenda or a voting agenda. Tomorrow is a voting agenda, the next meeting will be a briefing agenda. And if you go through and you look where it says transportation, then you can see if it will be in that, or will it be in the convention center? The closure, it will be in one or two places. It will either be in transportation or convention center. Look in both places.
Okay.
And if it's there, and now, what I will do for District 8,
I'm on the mailing list still.
okay, you on my mailing list?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why you're here. Okay, so, what I'll do for District 8 is, when this is going to be on the agenda at council, I will put it in my newsletter and look for it in my newsletter that this is going to be at council. You'll have two ways to speak. You can either sign up and come down to City Hall, which you won't go. My District 8, they'll get online and they will speak virtually, or you can go virtually. Now remember, if you're virtual, there's two things you have to do. You have to sign up, you have to tell them you're going to be virtual, and you have to be seen in order to be heard. That means you have to have your cameras on in order for you to be able to address council even though you signed up. Okay? Anybody have any additional questions?
Well, this is kind of an oddball question, but why the south connector instead of the north connector? It seems to me that with all the other questions aside, you're gonna do this connector from Jefferson over to Houston. Why not move it down the road to where people have a little more time to enjoy their tapering, and there'll be less time to have to cut Houston down to one lane? Why are you not using the North Connector?
Okay. So the question is, we look at starting the change down on the south end of it, but because of the way the existing bridges and the connectors, it's a problem. And it's more of a challenge than, and less clean, if you will, than trying to get that one done on the existing bridge.
Will this impact the bike lanes that are currently there? Like the
So
bike routes
We're
and the bike
looking
lanes?
at the alternatives for the bike lane, including potentially, and that was presented in the, at the Transportation Committee, of potentially using the existing garage down ramps to get the bicyclists down and connect to hotel and then onto the yacht.
Mr. Woodman, I hate, this is District 5's meeting, and I hate to talk, but I have a question that I've been wanting to ask, and that is, we moved, the convention center wasn't gonna block the Jefferson Street Bridge. Now it is. Why? Well, I know exactly why. Why did they change it? Did they think that they can build a hotel there in the Dallas Morning News, that H.O. Hunt guy, and he just wants us to find another way to work?
No, that's not it at all, John. So that,
I mean, the arrogance of them doing that to us.
well, you know, TxDOT needs laydown area to finish Interstate 30, right? So
Sure.
they also needed to do and I'm using the wrong term. I'm calling it a flyover, but there's another
It's a
technical
bridge,
term.
right?
Like a bridge over
Over
UP
there.
so that it could continue, right, so it could continue. And so we had been meeting with them the whole time, and you know, we didn't get that until our design was kind of already down the road, right? So we moved it over for a couple of reasons. Like, we had already done some approvals at the state, et cetera, that take a long time to do. And we also needed to keep a certain amount of program in the building, right? So program means how the rooms are laid out, et cetera, so that we could do what we promised the public with Brenner, so we could do what we promised the state with the project financing zone, and generate the amount of jobs that we needed to generate, et cetera, and to be able to have the building bring in more conferences. That's more jobs, it's more, a lot of economic things that, you know, are outside of the revenue that the convention center gets. It's all of the retail jobs, et cetera, that spur from the conventions we bring in. And so the orientation of the building, the size of the exhibit hall, the size of the ballroom, et cetera, brings in a different level of client than the city has ever been able to get. So we could never get, for example, with Google, we could never get some of these larger ones that bring in a lot of part-time and temporary and full-time jobs to the city in terms of people who big things, who set up rooms, who provide the furniture and all that for these different, and we were able to, the old center, we were capped. We could only hold 100 events a year. That was it. We were never gonna grow. We were never gonna be able to say, hey, we're providing more jobs, we're doing all of this. And so with this one, in the way that it's laid out, we can have 2 large conventions at once, right? So that already takes us to 200. And we could have a small one at the same time. So that, you know, brought us to like 250. So you're already double plus the number of events. So that's how that number you see on the website that we track through the Department of Labor of how many jobs we could generate with the convention center was like 50,000 jobs a year. Now that's not full-time jobs generally, that's people who work part-time and do events or retail, it's a lot of jobs, right? And so that's kind of been the driver for it, is not changing the program. So when we had to lower it to change the cost, right, we lost one of the ballrooms. So That went away and we kept just a large one. So we were still competitive, still can bring in the 2-in-1 level of event. But that's the reason we had to go a certain width with the building. And so rather than the width being closer to 30, the width is closer to the other side. Right?
So it's not the end of the world then if you bring it back up, because then you get that space that you originally wanted, correct?
Right.
Right?
That's what I thought.
It's not
That's
gonna-
why it was originally designed up in the air
That's
and
right.
Jefferson remained at grade, yes?
Okay, it's a lot more complicated than that. It doesn't give you the exact, I mean, we have to go back and run the numbers again. And moving it back is redesigning it. It's a lot more, it's easy to stay and say, oh, we'll just put it back, right?
Why can't you use the first design?
But there was original design, you told
The-
us.
No,
Yes.
why can't you use that?
We can't just use it the same way because we've gone back, we finished the program and finished the design. So now we know where literally everything is gonna sit, that's all the elevators, escalators, everything that we moved, we got rid of some elevators, we got rid of some escalators. Now you gotta go back and design them all back in to get back up to those heights, right? And that's where the money, the expense comes, is buying taller steel cut to a different length, buying more concrete cut to, buying more escalators, elevators. It's a lot more complicated than just saying, hey, let's go put it back. But no one's dismissing, wait, I want you to, no one's dismissing the need for someone getting in and out of, I
We
live in
got jobs and
Duncanville.
they're downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta go downtown and go to work.
Yeah.
Go through downtown to get something.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I
It's
live in
arrogant that
Duncanville, so
they-
I
they just
come that
not
direction.
use that
So
road.
I'm
Yeah, you told me before you
Yeah.
moved to Duncanville,
Yeah.
you use the road every day.
Yeah, I lived
Well,
in
you know.
Oak Cliff off by Bishop before that.
It might cost more money, but we're a large population out here.
You know, I have a couple of comments. My first question is, how long did they take to study this? The second thing is, who did they talk to? Because 9 times out of 10, when it comes to Oak Cliff, it just sort of says, you people does not matter. And that's what this bridge is saying. Y'all don't matter.
And so.
Let me say something.
Yeah.
I know how you feel. I have said some of this, I have voiced some of the same frustrations when they, even in our transportation meeting, I know how you feel. I've said some of the same things. They have heard my voice for you, okay?
You're one of few. And you're standing up for us, and that's why I came all the way out here.
And I appreciate that, but at the same time, these are my guests, okay? And as such, when I do mediation, I tell people all the time, we will treat everybody with dignity and respect, okay? We will treat everybody with dignity and respect. These are my guests that I brought for you. I want them to come back, okay? I really want them to come back. I respect them. I respect each and every one of them. Just so you know, their commitment, not only to me, but to you guys. Assistant City Manager Westovi, she's sick, okay? Director Fleming, she's sick, okay? Lori, she spent yesterday in the emergency room because she's sick. Okay, what I'm saying to you is we are giving of ourselves to you guys because, one, I need you guys to understand. Two, I need you guys to be able to have a voice and let your voice be heard. But three, I want them to come back because when we go through this process, they are going to have to come back over and over and over again. And even Dr. Kimparley, today it's a holiday for him, but he came in just for us. So while they're doing these things and I would say for you, because it's definitely not for me, because I give them a hard time all the time. They're accustomed to it. They really are accustomed to it. Because you guys beat me up, I share I don't necessarily share how well you guys beat me, but I share with them how you feel. And I have said that this cuts the whole southern sector off to ease of access to downtown, and this could, in the way, and I have said, the way my community is going to see it and communicate it to me is that it's unfair, they want something different. So I'm here for them to hear what you're saying. So let me offer a suggestion. Fill out the cards. You can write all the questions you want. Make sure you put your name, your email address where I can read it, because you guys like to write and I can't read it. Okay? Put your email addresses on there, and what questions you have, I will submit them to them. They will answer those questions for me, and if necessary, my staff will be angry with me, but they will have to pick up the phone and call each and every one of you, and or send your answer to you via the email. Okay? So my suggestion for staff is, don't take it personal. They treat me like this all the time.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
No, none of you guys are rude. None of you guys are rude. You guys, no.
I'm just scared.
No.
We're trying to understand.
No, wait a minute, let me say this. Nobody is rude. We're passionate. We're passionate people about where we live and how we get from one place to another.
We're scared. Like Mr. Barr said, we're all scared because we don't know what's gonna happen. It's the unknown. We don't know how we're gonna get to work, how long it's gonna take us to get to work, if we're gonna be able to get to work. Are we gonna have to leave at 6 a.m. so we can get there at 8? I mean, there's so many unanswered questions, and I don't think anybody in this room has any intent
No,
of
there's
disrespect.
no malice.
I really don't.
But see, you know what? Thank you for saying the words that you're scared.
Yeah, I think
Because
everybody
you know
is.
what? I never encoded it that way. I just
As
encoded.
hostility?
No, I encoded as frustration.
No, it's
Mr.
not.
Lair, you're the only one that spoke up for the community and said you're not gonna let, Mr. Casey,
Zarin Gracie?
no, Darren Gracie, all of you folks from over here said, we're not gonna cut off the cliff, we're not allowing you to marginalize southern sector.
Yeah.
And we're really positive about that. I'm scared. You know, my family's been here since 1901.
Okay, don't be afraid. And no, we're not gonna cut off the cliff. And no, we're not gonna do any of those things. What we're gonna do is have listening sessions. We'll have questions. We'll give suggestions as to what we want to see. And we're going to let them encode that information and validate what can be from what cannot be. Okay, now, like one of the things that, Dr. Carly had to leave, one of the things that I heard when we were in the meeting, in our committee meeting, was that the bridges need some servicing. So irregardless of the convention center, take that out. Don't even say convention center. Understand this, the viaducts need servicing. And if we don't do the servicing, you're not gonna have them at all.
That's right.
Okay, so let's hear that too. So, and when we hear that, then we can start adding layers on. But up here first, the viaducts must be serviced. The thing about it now is when they're doing work with the convention center, it's the appropriate time to do the servicing of the viaducts opposed to designing the convention center, going full steam ahead, and then say, oops, I forgot. So we're not doing that. We're saying we're gonna do it all at one time as one big monstrosity of a project. Okay? So, with that being said, anyone else have any questions? Do you guys have any last pearls of wisdom that you'd like to share with my passionate group?
I do want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I know that some of you feel like we haven't been listening, or we haven't heard, or we don't care about the community. And I think I speak to this whole team and Dr. Carly. We don't do these jobs just to make the community's life more difficult. We're looking to develop solutions, economic development solutions, transportation solutions that serve the city of Dallas, to make sure that our council members have the information that they need to embark in the community. And so, just very much respect the fact that you guys have come out this evening to spend some time and talk to us about your concerns. And so we appreciate that so much. And thank you for the opportunity.
I thank you guys for actually coming out and doing this. The library is not closing right now, but eventually it will close.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, you're right. But they, you know what, they make us leave a little early
You're
so
right.
they can close.
They don't walk out of here.
So they can get out on time. Let me say this, I appreciate everybody coming. I appreciate all of your questions. I appreciate you sharing your fear of the uncertainty, your frustration, and the fact that you feel like we're not being respected. But trust me, I got a voice and I use it.
Amen.
Yes, what you said, Mr. Demus? And I believe in sharing my voice for you, because in doing so, they actually get to hear how you really feel. I appreciate you. You guys will see any information in the newsletter. Just read the newsletter, okay?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you know what, District 1, I'm gonna tell Chad tomorrow that he owes me one.
That's right.